Good evening, everyone. ETP here. Welcome to our home. I'm here to share a few ideas with you. Some of my thoughts that are on my mind tonight. Unless you've been living under a rock, you've heard people in our community say, don't go to Washington, D.C. Do not go to your state capital on Inauguration Day, but to stay home. Now, 2 out of the 3 of that statement, I could agree with. Personally, I'm just going to get this out of the way. I don't agree with the whole statement. Do I think going to Washington, D.C. or your state capital, a good idea? No. Personally, I think that is the mother of bad ideas. Do I think you should stay home? That is what I have a problem with. Unfortunately, and this is a real, sad to say, possibility, if anything were to happen tomorrow, I believe those participants are already in place and ready to do what they're supposed to do. If that is the case, and I really, truly hope I'm wrong, it won't matter if we're out protesting or if we are in the kitchen making a nice yummy ham sandwich, because it's going to happen anyway. Again, hopefully I am very wrong about this. But you all know that politicians have got a real bad habit of not letting a good crisis go to waste. Especially, of course you could take 9/11, the Patriot Act, you can look it all out. Any opportunity to water down our rights, silence our voice, close our ears, restrict our movements, and strip us of our constitutional rights, if they have an opportunity, they will act on that opportunity. That is just a fact. We've seen it, and I'm afraid we're going to see a lot more of it. The FBI had released a supposed domestic terror threat, and they used the whole watched for armed protest. Depending on where you're at, an armed protest not only is not illegal, but it shouldn't be a concern. In this area, we had a Black Lives Matter, New Panther Initiative protest happen, and if you go back a few videos, you'll see where I filmed 3 videos of that. And protesters and counter-protesters were armed to the teeth. There was more gun and knives there than most gun shows I've been to. And you know what happened? Nothing. Because decent human beings at their very core don't want to hurt another human being. We want to have a dialogue, share ideas, discuss, try to resolve. And sometimes you can't resolve. But just because you don't agree, one side does not make the other comply. They do not force their ideals upon you. You shouldn't be told what you can say, what you can't say, how you should think, what you should accept, what you should not accept. That is your right as an American citizen. Make your own decisions. Have your own voice. But at our core, we don't want to hurt another person. We may walk away mad, but we walked away. We will do what we can to avoid a volatile situation. We will try to disengage and safely break contact the best way we can. And that's generally the end of it. This is not an insurrection. What we saw in Washington was not an insurrection. Let me tell you something. When 10,000 people show up at your front door, if they want to take your house, they're going to take your house. That's just the way it is. They can show up here tonight. I don't know where they're going to sleep, but, they'll have the house. That just didn't happen. We are not rooting for an insurrection. You are not a terrorist. You are not the bad guy. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. But what they want to do is vilify you even further by telling you that expressing your First and Second Amendment at the same time is a bad idea. That should tell you that they are threatened by the First and Second Amendment because they don't want you to do it. And they are trying to, they obviously can't just tell you, hey, you're not allowed to come to Washington, D.C. You're not allowed to come to Nashville or whatever your state capital is. If they told you you are forbidden, there's just something about that word just riles you up. Everybody and their grandmother would find a way to get there. So for me, there's a psychology behind this. When they put these warnings out there, they use our own clear, rational thinking against us because we're like, you know what, that could be a bad situation. I need to stay away. I get that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. But to stay home is what I have a problem with. That discourages you from going out and expressing your concerns, projecting your voice, exercising your right to be heard. Who says you can't go out on Inauguration Day and have a little event? 20 people, 50 people, maybe just yourself, standing out there with a sign. For me, my sign would probably say something real smart alecky, like no individuals were harmed, no governments overthrown with this armed protest. Who's to say you can't do something like that? No one. Obviously you can. Now, I'm not telling you to stay home, and I'm not telling you to go do what I just said, but I am just saying that there's other lines of thinking here. And if you do go out and plan on participating on something on the local level, be thoughtful, be careful, and be very mindful of your surroundings. If evil shows and attempts to drag you from the light and try to get you to fight, disengage, leave. The media is the worst. If anybody should be charged with election, I don't want to say collusion. I mean, they've colluded with people, obviously, when we're talking about collusion, but election meddling, influencing it, by censoring people. They are just scum, plain and simple. And you will say that I went to the store and got a loaf of bread, and they will somehow twist that into you went and bought an AK-47. So media shows up and wants to interview you. I wouldn't give them a word. I wouldn't pose for a picture. I wouldn't do nothing. Don't let people goad you into an argument. Don't let the media twist your words. That is the best advice I can give. Again, if you want to exercise your right, you should, peacefully, without a mob mentality or a riot mindset. Finally, I'm not telling you, again, to stay home or to go out. I'm just expressing my views, my thoughts on this. I am not implying, suggesting, or condoning any actions that violate a peaceful gathering. And I do not condone breaking any laws of our great nation. Tomorrow is a very trying time. Many of us feel like that this was nothing short of a coup or a government overthrow. You won't convince me that Biden didn't steal this election based on charisma alone. I didn't like Obama. You guys know that. I didn't like Bill Clinton. But man, those guys had charisma. They could work a crowd. They could work other countries, okay? Did you listen to Biden during his campaigning? He sounded like he whined all the time. If Trump wins, this will happen. And if I don't get elected, this will happen. He was always ending it with a whine and talking about the dark winter that is upon us. Gloom and doom and whining. There is no charisma with that man. And you're trying to tell me that that man has more charisma than Bill Clinton and Obama combined? The only other person I saw with that kind of charisma that those two gentlemen had was Ronald Reagan, and he won 49 of the states. That's just fact. I do not believe for 1 second. That is just my opinion. My problem is if you could prove that one single dead person rose from the grave and voted, it should be investigated. There is absolutely no reason for it to not to be investigated. That's just my opinion. Take it. You got your own. Again, Inauguration Day. Let's just try to get through this and see what the next day holds. God bless.